Hi guys, Tornado Knight here, and today I'm going to be discussing what if the Namekians didn't need Dragon Balls to grant wishes. Now, this for me stems from the idea that the Namekians like Guru, Kame, and Dente have created Dragon Balls that grant wishes. Well, what if they didn't need to create an item to use this power and this power was just inherently within them? What would change in the story? Now, we could debate whether Goku ever meets Bulma, but let's say just to not get too headcanon in this, Bulma has some other reason to be in the forest, whether it's research for her father, running away from home as a rebellious teenager, looking for a boyfriend in all the wrong places, whatever, thing you want to throw out there. She still meets the rambunctious little boy. I think when the story starts to become much more interesting is when Tambourine kills Krillin. Now, why is this interesting? Because at this point, they don't know that there's a way to come back from the dead. What would happen, in my opinion, at this point is Roshi would tell Goku of someone that he knew long ago up in the clouds by the name of Kame, who could restore someone back to life, but only if the person seeking the wish had a pure of heart and pure intent. So Goku, of course, doesn't know how to get into the sky, but he knows that Nimbus can fly really high. He would either end up using Nimbus or having to meet with Korin, and Korin would have to explain to him how to get beyond the Korin's tower over to Kame's lookout. Now, once he got there, Kame would have some type of trial for Goku to go through, and Krillin would eventually be restored, and most of the battles would take place the way they did take place. Now, in Dragon Ball Z, I think what happens is in the Raditz saga, obviously Raditz finds out about the bringing back of Goku through a wish and tells them, oh yes, my Saiyan friends just heard this same message. So of course, Vegeta and Nappa are still on their way back to the planet Earth. Still on their way to the planet Earth to seek out the wish-granting Namekian. Now, one of the things that isn't going to happen is they're not going to have to search for the Dragon Balls like they would have been in the original series, so when they want Goku back, they can simply just bring him back. Now, one thing I'm going to make just for the sake of the story is the Namekians are still only going to be able to use this particular technique once a year. Despite the fact that we have sensu beans that can restore someone's full powers, this technique is just going to be something that either attacks the life force of a being or something within them that just doesn't make it possible to use this technique spamming. Otherwise, you would just say, oh, okay, every time they run into a new bad guy, we're just going to wish to be more and more powerful, unlock a new form, blah, blah, blah. That's too headcanonish, at least for me. So, when Vegeta and Nappa arrive, I think the difference is Goku gets back sooner, Yamcha doesn't die, Chaozu doesn't die, and Nappa is going to be put on more of a leash. Vegeta will end up killing Nappa much sooner because Nappa has an anger issue, and Nappa almost kills Piccolo, and Vegeta actually has to step into the middle of that blast and gets himself severely hurt early on in the battle. Now, because Vegeta sustains a huge injury early on in the battle, it makes it much more difficult for him to fight with Goku, and eventually he realizes he needs to just leave, and he makes a snark remark, hey, there's a planet of weak Namekians not being guarded by a Saiyan, I'm just going to go there and get their wisher. And then he takes off. Of course, Piccolo and Kame are not aware of the fact that they're aliens at this point, and that's when they go and talk with Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo reveals that he found Kame in a shuttle many, many years ago. Now, at this point, Goku feels obligated to help the Namekians and feels that Vegeta would be a threat to their world and that he may even get stronger. So, instead of using the originally designed spaceship to carry Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, and Bulma to the planet Namek, Bulma would actually add some type of training half of the ship because, of course, it would be Goku's request and Goku always has to train. Now, instead of how in the original series they went at separate times, and Piccolo, of course, died, which in this series he didn't, they actually all go together, including including Tien and Yamcha. Tien, Yamcha, Gohan, Piccolo, Goku, Bulma, and Chaozu. Pretty crowded ship, 7 people. They're all going to be taking rotations into this gravity room. Of course, Goku's going to spend the priority of the time in there because he feels that he really needs to. Yamcha is going to have his same emo type moments about Goku always passing him. No one cares at this point. There will be a couple fight scenes between Yamcha and Bulma being stuck on a ship, further separating their relationship, which we all know is the way it's supposed to go in the first place. I think Tien adds more interest to the story because he's actually going to become much stronger than he would have originally, training with Goku in a gravity type room. Gohan is going to be much stronger, and so is Krillin. So when we arrive on the planet Namek, Goku, who was at 180,000 with Kaioken, is probably going to be around 160, maybe 150, because he didn't get to spend as much time training as he did in the original series. But then you're going to have other fighters in the 120, 130,000 range, which allows them to pretty much dispose of the Ginyu Force without much effort, unlike in the original arc. And of course, no one dies. Vegeta is still going to get very angry, but realize that he needs the Saiyans' help, and because of Goku, no one's going to kill Vegeta, even though most of the party wants to kill him. Frieza himself has actually gathered all the Namekians, except for Guru and Dente, into a stable, and he's trying to figure out which one of them can grant wishes. Of course, he doesn't have any of them killed because he doesn't know which one can grant the wishes. So he starts picking off one by one, and he's saying, one of you guys is going to tell me how these wishes work, because otherwise I'm going to kill your entire race. Scared, they finally decide to tell. Guru is the one that can grant wishes, but he will never grant your wish because you are evil, and only people with pure hearts can have wishes granted. Piccolo thanks him and destroys the entire group of Namekians. Of course, little Dente sees this and then runs off, running into our heroes along the way. Our heroes are rendezvoused over with Guru, and Guru unlocks all of our heroes' potential. So, not only Gohan is going to get that times 20 multiplier, but everyone is going to. Most of the events are going to play out pretty much the same, except with everyone being stronger, and Vegeta's obviously fallen behind. Frieza's going to have a much more difficult time beating this group because they're going to work more in unison. Eventually, of course, Goku's going to take over the battle. And basically because Goku's the only one that has a base level high enough with the times 50 multiplier, the Super Saiyan would still have to be Goku in order for Frieza to be defeated. But the question in that battle is, does Frieza blow up the planet? Frieza still wants immortality at this point. It's not like in DB Super where he's given up on the pursuit of immortality. He still wants immortality, and he knows that there's 2 Namekians alive that can give him this power. Now, I think that stops him from blowing up the planet, but it doesn't stop him from trying to kill everyone. Eventually, the battle ends with a stalemate, and Frieza decides he's going to leave the planet Namek. Goku, of course, because he's satisfied with the victory, allows Frieza to leave. Goku still, however, leaves the party because he says that he doesn't understand this form, and there's a rage within him that he needs to get a better grasp of. Then he leaves on one of the small pods and ends up falling on the planet Yarden. Everyone else returns to Earth together in the original ship that they left in. And Bulma really went along just because she wanted to explore space, and she wanted to test out this new equipment to add to Capsule Corp profits, because she still is a businesswoman and a scientist. Now, the Vegeta would have went with them. The same story develops. The Cell Saga, the Android and Cell Saga still pretty much go the same. Future Trunks still comes. The difference is, though, Frieza's not in his mecha form when he comes to the planet Earth. He's in his basic form because he's still angry, and he decides after training for a little while, instead of being rebuilt, he wants to go to planet Earth. Now, just for headcanon's sake, let's just say he only gets a little boost, not the gold boost. He decides to train a little bit, not the whole month like he did in DBS. So he's probably about the same strength as he was as Mecha Frieza, and Future Trunks still disposes of him, and most of the Cell arc plays out the same way. I think for the Dragon Balls, that is about what they would change in the story if the Namekians themselves were using the power. Now, Dente, because he's a little bit better at creating the balls, perhaps he can grant 2 wishes just from himself instead of, the one. Of course, in the Frieza saga, the only wish that Guru ever had to make was just for his people to be restored and part of the planet to be fixed, because Frieza didn't destroy the planet. The Cell saga still carries out the same way. Goku still would request not to be brought back to life. Eventually he would be brought back to life. He would defeat Majin Buu. And most of the rest of the story would play out how it plays until we get to the tournament of in Dragon Ball Super. We would actually get to meet Zalama, the super dragon responsible for creating the Super Dragon Balls. Zalama would, of course, have the same ability as the Namekians, but on a much grander scale, to simply be able to grant wishes. And Zeno would still offer up this wish, and the events of Dragon Ball Super would still pretty much come out the same way. Now, in the Broly movie, the interesting part of the Broly movie is that wish was actually wished upon really quickly to save Broly. Maybe to change that part to keep Broly alive, the Namekians, one of the Namekians actually, probably Dente, gets to know Broly, gets to see Broly's story a little bit, an add-on, and decides that he doesn't want Broly to die because Broly's not evil, and actually wishes them all to safety instead of there being a quick wish grant on the Dragon Balls. But that's going to be the end of this particular idea of what if the Namekians didn't have to use the Dragon Balls. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.